Welcome back to the Lexington Fire Department Training Program. My name is Fire Chief Alexis Vondermuffen, or Skyline Ash. Like always, this is brought to you by the Kentucky State Fire Commission. Today, or I should say this morning, we talked about Section 1, Duty to Act, and how that evolves around firefighting and EMS, and how we go about that scenario. Luckily for y'all don't have to listen to me much long because I'm not going to be going through a scenario, but we're going to be talking about some fun facts. This training is going to be brought to you, like I said, by the Kentucky State Fire Commission. So this is for everybody that wants to learn more on firefighting or EMS knowledge. This is for y'all. Everything that I'm teaching y'all is not in a standard training book. This is just continuous training that I like to do. That way you guys are prepared when you go out to a call for service. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into this. So section 2, the fire tetrahedron and ventilation. So we're going to be talking about the fire tetrahedron, the elements within, and the ventilation methods that we can use. We'll also be going throughout the years on how ventilation has improved, and so forth and so forth. So fire tetrahedron, and what is it? So the fire tetrahedron is a crucial concept in fire safety that identifies 4 essential elements required for a fire to ignite and sustain itself. We have 2 things, the 4 elements and suppression methods today. The 4 elements are fuel, heat, oxygen, and chemical chain reaction. So let's talk about fuel. So fuel is any combustible material that serves as the fire's physical source, whether this be wood, furniture, really anything that a fire could burn. Heat is the energy source that raises the fuel to its ignition temperature. A lot of things that can cause heat, that saying where I forgot to turn my oven off, and then you see like next time their house is on fire. That's the heat part. And then we have oxygen. This is typically from ambient air necessary to support the combustion process. Oxygen is a very big vital. Well, all of them are, but oxygen has to be one of the biggest in my opinion, because without oxygen, you could still contain a fire. So the chemical chain reaction. So this is the self-sustaining reaction that allows fire to propagate and continue. So without those 4, the fire cannot really sustain itself. It cannot keep burning or igniting or continuously evolving. Excuse me, everyone. Let's talk about the suppression method. So we have fuel encapsulations. These are using agents like F500EA to coat fuel molecules, blocking interaction with oxygen. So these are like, what is it? Water, any chemical-based substance, stuff like that. And then we have rapid cooling, which is more on the water side. So it's applying water or coolants to drop temperature below the critical ignition point. So when we're in game and you stretch that supply line and then you have your attack line and you're fighting the fire, that is the rapid cooling process. We're putting water onto a fire to prevent it from, evolving. Oxygen deprivation. So this is smothering with blankets or fluorine-free foam or displacing oxygen with carbon dioxide or CO2. There's a lot in suppression. Rapid cooling is probably going to be your number 1 that you'll use because it's your just standard attack line. And then we'll talk about chain reaction interruption. So this is using halogenated agents, e.g. halon, to chemically halt flame propagation. Basically, don't worry about that right now. We'll talk about maybe more of these in the future, just not anytime soon because these are not really priority things that I want y'all to focus about. Today, I want you to focus about rapid cooling and oxygen deprivations because those are going to be our big ones that we're going to use in the fire service almost every time we have a call for service to a fire. So ventilation, how it relates to the fire tetrahedron. So ventilation is a critical part of fire suppression because it directly affects oxygen and heat, 2 of the tetrahedron's elements. So we have oxygen control, heat management, and smoke invisibility. So under oxygen control, we're going to control supply. So opening or closing openings increase or decreases oxygen. So if a burning building is on fire and we are giving it oxygen via open doors or windows or something like that, and oxygen is coming through, it's still going to be ignited via the fire. Removing oxygen is either smothering fire using inert gases or blankets. So, some people have a fire blanket, some schools have a fire blanket. So what that does is, you'll use it, put it on top of fire, it smothers it. Pretty simple. And then we can also introduce oxygen, so it supports safe firefighting by clearing smoke and heat. So when we allow during ventilation and we break in the windows or opening up doors, it basically clears all that black and gray and all these types of smoke colors out into the opening, so we can see better visibility inside. Heat management. So we're going to cool the fire. This allows hot gases and smoke to escape, dropping local temperatures. So when we do that, we're basically back on that rapid cooling. So we're just, smothering it with water. This allows it to drop that temperature in the fire. And then we have structured fires, which is crucial for preventing dangerous thermal layering that traps heat and hinders firefighter entry. Smoke and visibility. So we're going to clear the air. So basically, we're going to remove dense smoke drastically, improves physical visibility. That goes into, introducing that oxygen and oxygen control. Basically, we want to see better so we can understand what we're fighting. We might be having hidden dangers that we cannot see, like propane tanks or something like that. And then we also have search and attack. So this enables interior teams to locate victims and attack the fire base more rapidly and effectively. This is like our primary search mixed with attack. Ventilation strategies. These are the big three to focus on while ventilating, and firefighters use ventilation to control oxygen. So in certain suppression tactics, ventilation is part of a strategy to limit oxygen to the fire, especially in hazardous fuel environments. So such as like gas stations and there's a fire going on, we're going to want to control that oxygen drastically to prevent more ignition and moving over to fuel pumps or anything like that. Heat management. So we're going to be removing heat by allowing hot gases to escape. Ventilation reduces the thermal load on firefighters and can help prevent flashover. We might talk about flashover again in the future, in the near future, but basically focuses on getting heat out of the picture. And then we have safety improvement. So we can improve safety by actually clearing the smoke and heat from a structure or space, and it makes it safer for personnel to operate in. So yeah, when we talk about ventilation strategies, these are the big three that we're going to focus on: controlling the oxygen, removing heat, and improve safety. So let's talk about the historical evolution of ventilation. So these are how techniques have improved over the years. So this is big for all my history people out there who love history at school or something like that. This gives you an idea of how ventilation has evolved. So from the 1920s to the 1970s, traditional ventilation. So they had smoke removal. So that's clearing dense smoke to improve interior visibility for attack teams. And then there's basic vent, so relying heavily on natural buoyancy or a bass or basic vertical cuts without precise control. So whether we're opening a hole in the roof to let the gases come out and remove that internal temperature. So from the 1970s to the 1990s, this is going to be going into positive pressure or PPV. This enables pressurization, so it creates a pressure difference to force smoke out, establishing a safe path. I accidentally put difference there twice. I do apologize. But what that does is, it's like box fans. Most engines carry a box fan. During overhaul or maybe sometimes even during the fire attack, you could throw a box fan in once it's controlled enough. And then we also have controlled flows. So this introduced predictability to flow paths and protecting search areas. So when we have that control flowing air going in, we can see better and we can predict where the fire is going to flow or move to. And then from the 2000s to today, we have tactical ventilation. So this is follow path management. So this focuses on limiting air to the fire, linking to the fire tetrahedron principle. Basically, it's more about oxygen removal. When we talk about ventilation, it's either removal of oxygen or the addition of oxygen via the fans from the positive pressure PPV or through traditional ventilation. And then we also have, back to tactical ventilation, we have the thermal layer management. So intentionally control the removal of heat and hot gases to enhance safety. I cannot type today. See that? Did that again. But yeah, so like I said, these are the big 3 from the last slide that I talked about here. If I can go back, sorry. Oxygen control, heat management, and safety improvement. So we're going to control the oxygen, whether adding or removing heat. So basically, rapid cooling, attacking the fire, so it drops below its internal heat value. And then we're going to want to improve safety, so we have a better visibility and we can have more tactical management on how we're going to fight the fire. But yeah, that is all I actually had. I know this was a short one today, but I shall see y'all tomorrow for section 3. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night and a good shift if you're getting on. Bye.